Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Ted. Today we will dive into something that touches every single hour in our life, habits. Our entire day is essentially just a giant den of habits. From the moment your eyes open and you reach your phone to the way you brush your teeth, the roads you ride to work, or the way you respond with others, it's all automated. We like to think we are this rational, conscious being, making deliberate choices every second. But the truth is much humbler. We are creatures of pattern. Our brains are incredibly efficient machines. They are designed to take any repeated action and turn it into a shortcut to save energy. This is a beautiful thing when it comes to walking or talking, but it's a double-edged sword when it comes to how we live. If you have a collection of good habits, you're essentially living a life on a downstream current. You don't have to force yourself to be healthy or to be productive. You just are, because that's where the momentum is taking you. But if your day filled with bad habits, the mindless scrolling, the junk food, the procrastination, you are swimming upstream every single day and you end up exhausted, wondering why life feels so difficult. The mistake most of us make is thinking that to change the direction of the current, we need a massive explosion of willpower. We think we need hustle, grind, or turn into the beast mode and become a new version of ourselves. But willpower is like a muscle that can get tired. A battery can get drained. I mean, you can if you have a really great willpower. If you don't, I want to show you a different way. A way that doesn't feel like a fight. We're going to talk about how to build a good habit without willpower. The secret to building a habit that actually lasts isn't intensity, it's consistency. To get that consistency, we have to make the habit so much easy that your brain doesn't even bother to resist it. The first thing is do it small. This is the golden rule. If you want to change, you have to start small. I mean ridiculously small. Like I said before, we make that extremely easy so that our brain doesn't even bother to resist it. And when you don't bother about that, you don't use much of your willpower. That's the key to this idea. When you want to form a new habit, think about something about the habit that takes only 3 to 5 minutes or even 1 to 2 minutes to do it. For example, instead of going to the gym for an hour, do 5 push-ups. Instead of reading a whole chapter, read 4 or 5 lines. Instead of meditating for 20 minutes, sit for 2 minutes. I know what you are thinking. How is 5 push-ups going to change your body? At the beginning, it's not. And remember, we're talking about how to build good habits. So you aren't building your body yet, you're training for your brain. You are teaching yourself that every day you have to do that thing in a specific time with the same intensity to make your body feel familiar with it. Once it's a habit or it's automated, then you can make it harder. But you can improve a habit that doesn't exist yet. The second thing is the 66 days. We all heard that it takes 21 days to form a habit, but that's actually a myth. A famous study found that, on average, it takes about 66 days for a new behavior to become automated. For some, it might be 18 days. For others, it might take longer, maybe 254 days. It depends on your adaptability, your environment. So, average, I would take 66 days to form a new habit. This is exactly why starting small is the only way to win. You can't maintain a high strength, high willpower drive for 66 days. You burn out by day 10. But you can do 5 push-ups for 66 days. You can read 5 lines of book for 66 days. By the time you reach that automatic point, the behavior is bloodstream. It becomes a part of who you are. It becomes an indispensable activity in your daily life. So don't be greedy. That's why I want you to start small. Just think like you play a long game. So choose your start wisely. That actually is sustainable in the long run. As you start this journey, there are a few things you need to keep in mind to make sure the habits stick. The streak. Your streak is the lifeblood of habit formation. There is a psychological satisfaction in seeing a long row of check marks on your calendar. It's like a little prize you give yourself every single day. A visual pat on the back says, I did it. When you look at a streak, you aren't just looking at dates. You're looking at proof that you are someone who keeps promises to yourself, and that feeling is incredibly addictive. This is why I highly recommend tracking your streak in a way that you can see it constantly. Whether you use app or just physical calendar, seeing that progress gives you a massive hit of dopamine. That dopamine makes you want to keep going when the initial excitement has faded. Here's a tracker I actually created for myself last year. Now, looking back, it wasn't perfect, it was just a basic grid, but it was exactly what I needed that time. When you have something tangible to track, your brain starts to shift. You find that as the streak goes longer, the desire to not break the chain much stronger than the desire to sit on the couch. Maybe you find exhausted at 9 p.m., but you still do your 5 push-ups because you can bear the thought of seeing the blank square on your tracker the next morning. The streak becomes a game you refuse to lose. Life is inevitably going to get in the way. You are going to have a late night at work, you catch a cold, you just have one of those days where everything feels heavy and impossible. In those moments, the all or nothing perfectionist inside us tries to take over. We think, well, I missed today, so I already failed. I might as well start again next month. That is the most dangerous thoughts you can have. It's perfectly fine to have one day off if it's truly unavoidable. We are human, we're not machines, so we need to be kind to ourselves. But here's the rule that separates from who succeed from those who quit. Never miss 2 days in a row. Missing one day maybe is an accident. It's a fluke, but missing 2 days is a start of a new habit. A habit of not showing up. This is where the do is more rules become your best friends. Even if you are in the hardest situation, find a 10 seconds to do the micro version of that habit. If you can do your full hour workout, do 2 push-ups. You can't read a chapter, read one sentence. It takes almost zero effort. But it keeps the streak alive. It keeps the neural pathway in your brain firing and keeps the momentum moving forward. In any circumstance, your streak is the bloodstream that keeps the habit alive. As long as you keep that blood flowing, even if it's just a trickle, the habit stays alive. If you stay consistent, you eventually find that a small version of your habit becomes too easy. You get familiar with the movements, the resistance will vanish, and you naturally feel like you can do more. When you reach that point, you have permission to increase difficulty. But here's the warning, don't be too greedy. When we feel a burst of motivation, we often try to turn from 5 push-ups to 50 in a single day, and that's a trap. If you increase the difficulty too fast, you bring back the same resistance we were trying to avoid. Increase it slowly, almost imperceptibly, so your brain doesn't get spooked by the extra effort. And here's something people in the self-improvement world rarely talk about, the maintenance point. Society tells us we always have to be optimizing, scaling, or crossing it more every single day. But in reality, there is a point where the habit is doing exactly what it needs to do. Once you reach the level you actually want, maybe there's 30 minutes of exercise to feel healthy or 20 minutes of reading book to stay sharp, you can stop increasing. You don't have to become a professional athlete or scholar unless that is your dream. But for most of us, the goal is just to have a better, more balanced life. Once you hit that sweet spot, your task is no longer growth, it's simply maintenance. Keeping that level consistent and protecting the baseline becomes your new, permanent goal. You build the engine, then you just need to keep it running smoothly. I want to share how this worked for me personally. About 1.5 years ago, I was in a spot where I knew I needed to do exercise, but I just couldn't get started. I go hard for 3 days and then quit for months. Then I read Atomic Habits and decided to try a new idea, the make it easy idea. I told myself I will do one push-up every day and then increase one each day. Only one, I did one. But I'm a bit greedy, I didn't feel like it was enough. So I ended up with 15. I felt okay, so I kept that as my baseline. I did 15 push-ups every day for a week. Then this week I increased it by 5. By day 30, I had a real habit, but then I had one of those hard days, those exam days. I was exhausted, stressed, and I just wanted to go to sleep. My brain was screaming at me just to skip it. I told myself, fine, I don't need to do 30, just do 5 push-ups to keep a streak. I did the 5. It felt extremely easy. And because I didn't break the streak, I didn't have to deal with the guilt of failing. I didn't let one bad day turn into 2. By keeping it small and repeating it every single day, I built a foundation that I still stand on today. Through that, I know that we can be flexible to ourselves. At first, I have one plan, but when I come to do it, I have another one. So you can flexibly adjust to fit with your situation along the way building your habit. At the end of the day, we have to remember that our life is a chain of habits. If you have a good one, you have a better life than before. Building this habit doesn't have to be a painful process. It doesn't have to be about fighting yourself. It's about being manner to yourself. It's about saying, I'm going to make this so easy that I can't fail. You have the power to change your autopilot. You just have to start small, protect your streak, and never let 2 days go by without showing up for yourself. I'm so glad we had this talk, and I just want you to pick something right now, some tiny habit, and start your streak today. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one. Bye.
Just put us